Okay, guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to stand up today because my room is absent all seating. Actually, my chair, I brought it into the main house for the prior two videos, didn't bring it back out here. And also, people at the shows tell me, oh, you look so much taller in person, but that's because I'm usually seated next to these 7-foot tall Geo Research and Extreme. So now you can kind of tell, especially with my cowboy hat. Went out on the town tonight, saw a live band. Actually, it's a guy I met when Doug and Pete the Greek were in town. Maybe I'll put up some excerpts here from his concert. Really cool guy. It was a country western bar. Made total sense to wear this tonight. But anyway, talking about the row one seating that's coming here. It's actually been delivered, but they're supposed to have white glove service to install it. And that didn't get coordinated so well, such that they dropped it off, but they didn't be able to install it. So it kind of parlays into why I wanted to do this video today, to address frequently asked questions of why I don't do reviews or why do I do reviews. People have often asked me, both industry and hobbyists, why don't you do more reviews like everybody else? And same thing with the industry people. And I plan on doing a review like I did with the A1. This is actually why I'm getting more questions about that now. Thankfully, a lot of people enjoyed my musical fidelity A1 review, and people want more of that. But I typically, with this channel, only done reviews of stuff I buy and keep. Geo Research and Extremes, I've done reviews of this. I bought this, full retail, okay? Very few people review stuff that they buy at full retail and keep it. Almost none, okay? McCormick amps, can't see it in the picture here. I bought these before I even had a channel. Reviewed them, talked about them constantly, kept them all these years. You haven't seen me change that out. Although I bought the A1 recently to try and put into a different system. The Mini DSP SHD, bought that full retail. Full retail, okay, guys? No commissions or anything. Nothing I get for reviewing that. So just wanted to kind of give you guys that I only really like to review stuff that I purchase, own, paid almost full retail for. Now, as I've gotten bigger as a channel, people have offered to send me this, send me that, and do more of the conventional review type channel. And I wanted to address why I do or may make exceptions in some cases. Long story short, it doesn't hurt to ask if I'll do it. But let me give a little bit of guidance for both hobbyists and industry people to shortcut any confusion. One thing let's talk about exceptions. When I went to CEDIA, the last thing I thought I would run into would be Blue Jeans cable booth. I found them on the last hour of the show that day and found out that they were releasing a whole new cable for speaker cables, twin star quad run, ultra low inductance. And he offered to send it to me to review. And I started thinking, you know, I've talked about in acoustic, which is best of the best for high budget systems and all the aesthetics, everything combined. That's my #1 recommendation. But what about people that can't afford that or just getting started and wants to start a little bit slow, don't care about the aesthetic element as much? How about the highest quality, highest value cable? And here's one that nobody's ever seen before, a new one from Blue Jeans Cable, ultra low inductance, has all the objective parameters that should lead to superior performance. That's when I said, yes, actually, I will take that on review and try it. And also it shows how Blue Jeans Cable is actually the OEM manufacturer for other cables that just can put a branding on the sleeve and basically resell what is being done excellently by Blue Jeans Cable. So that was one exception. Row one, the seating that I'm buying, getting back to that, I bought it because I need it. I wanted it. It's superior to what I had before. It's going to give me more headroom and clearance, less reflections. But who knows? I'm going to give it a review as well because I now own it. And honestly, their white glove service, I'm going to have some things to ding about it. You know, but I still may decide to represent that product. It looks so good, should be so good once I get it installed. We'll see. I like what the people behind it are doing. They're helping the homeless. They're doing more than our government does for the homeless. I liked a lot of things about them, that they passed that threshold of being unique, different, quality people. Those are the only type people I will consider representing. Now, there's a lot of people that fit that bar that I don't represent. Right now, I only represent Edgar and the Bach because he has no competition and he does something nobody else can do. And it's such an easy sell for me. I just put people in the chair. I don't have to blabber about him and, make up stuff. I just put people in the chair. They hear it. Clear difference. Unless people like crosstalk, they usually buy it. There's just no debate over that product compared to anything else you could possibly buy. And actually, thanks from Capital Audio Fest, sold several more audios, even a grand potentially, and then a bunch of Bach for Mac. So thank you guys for attending Capital Audio Fest and resonating with you on that. But wanted to talk about, would I represent other brands? Potentially I would, because one thing I hinted at the prior in prior videos is that I am purchasing a property in Fredericksburg, Texas, wine country of Texas, and putting an Airbnb there. Strictly, even outside of any audiophile aspect, I'm going to have this for that purpose, investment purpose. Airbnb in Fredericksburg is desperately needed there. It's so hard to get a room, anything high quality, and it's just growing like crazy. It's the Napa of the South. So from an investment standpoint, just on outside of audiophile metrics, it made sense for me. But then as I decided, you know what? It would be really cool for audiophiles to have an Airbnb in such an environment that they already like: wine, beer, distillery, the culture, live music that's in that area. To have also the ability to stay in a audiophile room where the latest technology, the best of the best, is featured, whether it's wavefield synthesis, Bach, other things that I decide to put in that Airbnb. It could be almost a quasi weekend at a dealer's place where you get to experience the best of the best, at least in my opinion, such that you really get a better impression than you can do at a dealer, and certainly 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times better than listening to some yo-yo on the forum talk about it, or some reviewer. Because let me talk about why I haven't done to date the traditional audiophile review channel, or done any of the metrics and methods that most people have done. Well, number one, I'm lucky enough to not need to do it for a living. There's no need for me to do it for a living for the money. But also, even more importantly, once you advance in the hobby to a certain extent, there are points at the hobby where you go through gear a lot, because that's your learning curve. You have to go through gear to learn what works for you and what doesn't. But once you go through that, the last thing you do, you finally get understanding of what makes sense to you. You know what brands, you know what types of speakers, you know what type of amplifier, you know what will work for you when you've gone through that learning curve. And then you make the purchases, and they're keepers. As you've seen, have I changed these out at all since I've had the channel, since I did these? No. My amps, Steve McCormick amps, I actually had these before I started the channel. Have I changed them out? No. Mini DSP SHD, once I got it. Have I changed it out? No. The best sign of how well you've graduated and how sophisticated you are in your experience as an audiophile is, are you able to make those purchases that give you cost no object performance, and you don't have to churn gear anymore? That's when you know you've reached another level. And once you get to that level, you realize also that coordination, calibration, setup is so important, okay? Such that the only things you'll add at that point are things that are super innovative, like the Bach, or you may do some things with power delivery, room treatments to treat reflections, to dial things in a little bit more. But ultimately, that's the point where you don't want to change anything once you've got things dialed in. So for me, I don't need it for the money. I don't need to churn gear anymore that would have been attractive at one point, just trying stuff. And I don't want to have to change things out. I don't want to take speakers in. It'd be great to have. I don't begrudge, and I would love to have a pair of MBL Extremes, Estalon Extremes, Acora VRCs. I'd love to have all that stuff. I don't have room, number one. I can't bring it up here. But the other thing is, I'm not wowed enough to change out. I'm not constricted so much financially. If I really find something I want, I can have it. But it has to be something that blows me away beyond belief for me to change out what I have right now. So it doesn't hurt to ask me if I will review stuff. I'll make exceptions. But normally I'll review stuff based on my own purchasing decisions. If I decide to buy it, then I'll review it. Now, with that Airbnb and putting new stuff in there, starting from scratch, I will have more room. I'll have a budget to bring stuff in. So things like an Estalon Extreme or VRC from Acora, whatever I decide. Bach, obviously, maybe even wave field synthesis, if you've learned about in that video with Edgar. That's all kinds of things I may put in this Airbnb and such, where I may start doing more reviews or be interested in taking in more gear, because then, and even representing some gear. Right now, all I represent is the Bach, okay? That's the only one I make money from. I probably sold more GR Research and Extremes than anybody with my videos. I get nothing from Danny. I paid full retail. Same thing on all the other things, as I mentioned. But in the future, will that change? Potentially. Potentially it will. I may represent the row one seating. I may represent whatever I put into my Airbnb. But let me talk about the different things in the hobby that you don't know about. I'm being transparent with you, but maybe you don't know about the transparency that should be disclosed throughout the hobby. Let's talk about magazine reviews to start. Magazine reviews are supposed to have a firewall between the advertising and the reviewers. And to a certain extent, some magazines are more successful than others at keeping that firewall to be true. For example, Absolute Sound, they gave awards, they gave reviews to the Bach and worked with Edgar, asked him for a review. He didn't ask them to review it. They asked him. They gave him all those awards and all that attention without spending $1 in advertising. So kudos to them on that. Clearly, the product raised enough interest that they did it on their own organically without any financial merit. Can you say all magazines are like that? Can you see examples where a certain brand advertises a lot, gets reviewed a lot, if it shows as broken on the test bench and still gets an A rating, then you, as long as you have an IQ above room temperature, you need to start thinking about those things and knowing whether you can trust that magazine or those reviews enough. I'm not here to tell you what to believe or not to believe. In the membership section, I do give a little more tips and a little more frank, because I'm just not interested in getting involved in the drama publicly. But this is something that you can figure out on your own. Same thing with online reviews with YouTube, for instance. Some people just charge flat out for a review, $3,000, $4,000 for me to review your stuff. And that's fine as long as two parties agree to it and it's disclosed. Totally fine. Some distributors will sponsor a YouTuber and give them stuff that they distribute and give them stuff to review. Totally fine. So a lot of these guys need to make money on it, and I don't begrudge them for doing it. This is how they put money and food on their table. That's important. I can't sit here just because I'm lucky enough not to need that and, shoot arrows at these guys. I'm not here to, poke holes in their way of making money, but it's important for you to be able to discern which reviews are truly unbiased, which, quite frankly, there's almost none that are even for myself. If I like somebody, if I like the people behind it, I'm going to be a little more biased to giving them favorable reviews. There's tons of times I see negative things happen in this hobby. People think I made a big deal about the Rockport speaker being painted wrong. Well, that happened with two of my friends in short time frame, and I, in fact, gave initial video said, I'm sure Rockport's going to take care of this. It was only after like 9 months of this not going well and my friends not being happy that I then brought it to attention. But I see countless times where XYZ brand is broken, needs repairs. If it doesn't rise to the level of a lot and doesn't rise to the level, I don't just cheap shot a brand, okay? I see lots of problems. I have a database of all kinds of problems. I have a database also on all kinds of people in the hobby. I could get involved in drama as much as anybody. Nobody really wants to start drama with me. I hope they don't, because there's a few guys out there, a few sycophants. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. There's a few sycophants of different people online, and they like to start stuff between people. Not a wise move. Not a wise move for me, and that's why I don't do these live streams where people try to egg people on to negatively talk about one person or the other, because let me tell you, I got the database. I could disclose lots of stuff that'll get me lots of reviews, lots of views, lots of drama, lots of that stuff. I'm not into any of that. Membership section, some things will be disclosed, but let me just tell you, that stuff's not going to fly with me. I like to present the positives, and it has to have a threshold of rising to a big problem before I bring it to, the industry's attention. And all of these things that I'm talking about with the industry in terms of reviews and some things that can make it seem dirty, it's not really that dirty as long as two parties agree to it and you have an IQ high enough to realize, hey, it's not 100% unbiased. Same thing with other reviewers that don't charge. Sometimes they'll get free gear, or sometimes they'll get heavily discounted gear, like 40% off retail, and then they'll actually sell it at a profit afterward. And that's how they get paid. Again, nothing wrong with that, as long as you can figure it out on your own, use your own brain to know that there's an obvious motivation behind that. There's also a company, I can't say who it is, but, and luckily it's a prior that I know about, used to go into rooms, YouTube channel, film, and then hustle the guys in the room afterward to support the channel, pay money in order to get that video shown on his channel. And it became a monthly thing that you had to support the channel to keep that video up. So that's kind of, a lot of people partook in that. It became very profitable for that person in the YouTube. Two parties agree. I have no problem with it, but it does seem a little bit dirty, feels a little bit dirty to people that even participated in it. You have to be aware of this, and you have to have, if you're not aware of it, I'm letting you be aware of it. Your IQ can take it from there. I don't have to tell you what to believe or not to believe. In my opinion, all of these things have a weakness that you have to figure out for yourself. I'm not here to tell you what to put stock in or not put stock in. You can trust some yo-yo on the internet that has no, just a sock puppet. A lot of these AudioGone accounts, let me tell you a little bit about that. AudioGone accounts, some of them are sock puppets for actual manufacturers' names. Again, these are anonymous accounts, but they're actually the owners of the companies doing it. Or these owners seek out accounts that have lots of posts and like to vomit their opinions all the time. They will send them free gear, and then guess what? Those people are more likely to post stuff and create threads and keep it high up in the thread. They'll necro something from 6 years ago will still be at the top over and over and over again. It's not a coincidence, guys. It's manipulated, okay? But if you've got an IQ above room temperature, you're going to figure all this out for yourself. I just want to let you know that the whole industry of reviews, you have to couch it somewhat. And that's why when I do anything related to the Bach, I like to show you a lot. I could flap my gums nonstop. I can show you Edgar talking about the technology, and I try to do that so you can get comfortable. But when I show you people in my room giving you their opinions right after they listen, and I've done that repeatedly, time after time after time, that's what I like to do and offer you to come listen. Go to the shows. Make the decision yourself. Because ultimately, guys, that's the only way you can trust yourself, trust what you buy. You can go through a gear a million times and you're going to find out that you don't agree with a lot of these people's reviews. And that's what I'm hoping to do with this Airbnb, is give you a chance to come for a whole weekend, try some gear, try the best gear, and then find out really after a long, extensive experience how well you like it or may not like it. So anyway, just thought this video would be helpful to address frequently asked questions. It came after my A1 review. People wanted me to do more of that stuff, and I hope this kind of clears up when I might do it more in the future, when I might not, and also some things that I'm going to in this channel. All right, feel free to ask any questions in the comments, and stay tuned for a lot of cool stuff coming soon. Mako, I'm going to have a Zoom with them. Blue Jeans Cable, Row 1, all kinds of stuff coming down the pipe. So stay tuned, sign up, subscribe, and I'll see you back here soon.